Welcome back, guys, to the next video here. We decided to take last week off, and we're coming right back. We're going to keep this one short and sweet this week. Kev and I are going to talk about the Niners, and then we're going to jump into the Raiders, what we thought of the Week 4 performances. So just starting right off the get-go, the Niners lost to the Eagles 25-20 on Sunday Night Football. A little bit disappointed. Well, I'm very disappointed, actually, but I can't say that I'm too surprised either. I expected, I was based on previous videos and Kev and I talked to, I expected the Niners to lose one of these games, whether it be the Eagles, the Dolphins, I didn't think they'd lose to the Jets or Giants. So I thought they'd lose one of these two. So it's not surprising, but just disappointing given the fact that the Eagles are such a bad football team and the Niners had all the opportunities. So just to kind of break it down a little bit, Nick Mullens did not play too well. It was not his best showing by any means. Had 2 interceptions and a fumble. The 2 interceptions that he had were absolutely killer. In the NFL, you just can't win turning the football over, especially one turnover being in the red zone. At the very least there, you get 3 points. You get a field goal. So that's already 3 points. And he threw the really, really embarrassing one in the fourth quarter, a pick 6 that was just right to the defender. So there you go. That's already 7 points in the field. So that's already 2 possessions right there that could have been easily prevented. That's already 10 points that could have been easily prevented just by not turning the football over. And that would have won him the game. That there's no doubt about that. So just simply looking at it, the turnover is absolutely killed. The Niners actually had about double the passing yards of the Eagles in the football game. I felt like the Niners actually outplayed the Eagles, but I never felt like they were in control in the sense of I just never felt comfortable. And then the turnovers happened and, just the way that things fell. Mullens has to play better. I know that Beathard came in there in the last 2 drives, scored a touchdown, and then had the chance to win the game. But the first drive, and they're playing very soft coverage. I mean, they were led everything in front of them, short passes, mid-range passes. They were just playing kind of a prevent defense in a way. So I don't read too much into that. I mean, I know Mullens was the starter over Beathard, and Beathard used to be the starter over Mullens, but I don't read too much into it. Everyone's saying that, if Jimmy doesn't come back against the Dolphins, Beathard should get the nod. I guess it's hard to argue with just based on what you just seen, but just take it with a grain of salt because the defense was completely different. And then as far as that too, the Niners are decimated by injuries, as we've talked about before. I mean, it's been absolutely a killer. They were out both starting corners, 1 backup corner, starting linebacker, starting running back, starting center. We already know about the defensive ends, Bosa, Solomon Thomas, and unfortunately Ziggy Ansah, the defensive end we just had signed and had played his first game last week, tore his pec. So not looking good. Looking forward to week 6 when Ronald Blair and Julian Taylor get off of IR, 2 of our defensive ends. So we really need those guys to come back fast. And then Weston Richburg, our starting center, needs to get back healthy. And then, again, Raheem Mostert, not having Mostert play is huge because I love Jerick McKinnon. I love him. He's a good guy. I think he's a good running back, but he just doesn't have that burst and that speed, that track speed like Raheem Mostert does. And I don't want to – it could be because of the injury that he had that was very serious. He's still a good back, but he doesn't have that take it to the house, 60, 70-yard speed. You know what I mean? It's just – you could just tell there's plays where they had opportunities and he just wasn't getting it done. They really need Mostert for that big playability. They need Jimmy Garoppolo back. I think more than anything, there was a lot of talk about, should Nick Mullens be the starter? I never felt like Mullens should be. I never did. But I think it's really solidified now that Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy and we need him back. Absolutely. The Niners record, whether you love him or hate him, Jimmy Garoppolo wins football games. The record is significantly better with him playing. So he needs to get back out there. And as far as the Niners defense, I've seen a lot of hate on Twitter about not containing the quarterback. And I agree. You got to keep him in the pocket. Their Achilles heel has always been the running quarterback, the mobile quarterback, and Carson Wentz is a mobile quarterback. But I'll say this too, when you play defense, you can only do so much. You can only shut down the running game, which they did really good. They didn't allow – I don't know the exact yardage here, but they didn't allow too much rushing from the running back position. They pretty much shut down the receivers the whole game. I mean, they only scored 25 points, 7 of which was based off of pick 6. So, I mean, they didn't play horrible. They really didn't. Of course, you would like Wentz to not get those rushing yards and extend those plays, but that's something that you live with. You shut down the other aspects. You shut down Ertz, essentially. You just live with that. That's something that you just do. I thought the offensive line was absolutely horrific. I'm going to give some credit, or I'm going to give credit also to the Eagles' defensive line. They played really well. But Trent Williams, which is very uncharacteristic of him, he's a very good left tackle, but he had a horrible game, which is very surprising. I don't know what to attribute that to. I have to look at the film. I haven't even checked out the film. I've kind of just been processing, been a little bit upset. So I have to check that out. And Mike McGlinchey also, I mean, he has highs and lows. He's up and down all over the place. But Mike McGlinchey has looked pretty horrible this season. It's going to be interesting to see if they decide, and hopefully his play picks up. They need his play to pick up, being a first-round pick. But if his play doesn't pick up and he doesn't play better, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't pick up his fifth-year option. So we'll see after the season. And then as far as just, the Niners are 2-2 now. So they're 2 games behind the Seahawks. They're a game behind the Rams. And they're tied with the Cardinals, but the Cardinals have the tiebreak. Yeah. So we're in last place, which is, nothing to be too concerned about, because you got to take it like this. We have a ton of injuries. You just got to try to win these games. I feel like the Niners were this close away from being 4-0. I mean, seriously, they were that close away from being 4-0. I mean, they had 2 tough losses. They shouldn't have lost last night's game. I still feel like they had their opportunities to beat the Cardinals. But going forward, we just have to get healthy as we can. We got to get Mostert back. Got to just play better overall, eliminate the mistakes, get Dre Greenlaw back, get our corners back. I thought the corners played pretty well, but, I mean, these are Dante Johnson was, he's like a guy that's on the practice squad that we bring up every week, but he's not, he's not a starting NFL corner, so we can't have that out there. We have to get healthy. But more importantly, we have to win this Dolphins game next week to improve to 3-2, because after the Dolphins game, it gets tough. It's the Rams, Patriots, Seahawks, Packers, Saints, and then it goes back. It goes on and on. So, yeah, it's a very tough schedule. So it's a must win against the Dolphins. You're already 2-2. You got to improve to 3-2. The Dolphins, I feel like they have a pretty good team. I don't think they're horrible. I think they could I think they're a type of team that could beat anybody or lose to anybody. So I guess it just depends. It depends if Fitzmagic shows up or Fitzpatrick. So we'll see. But I'm a little bit concerned, and the Niners just have to get healthy. But I'll say this. You could be concerned, but don't be too pessimistic. Take everything with a grain of salt. We have a ton of injuries, and the Eagles did too. I'm not going to say they don't. They do have a ton of injuries. But as a whole, then just looking at the 49ers right now, they have a ton of injuries. They're a couple plays away between 2-2 and 4-0. So they're not a horrible football team. I genuinely think once they get a little bit more healthy, they'll compete and they'll win some of these tough football games. I believe in the team. I believe in Garoppolo. I believe in Mostert. I believe in Kittle. And I'll tell you what, Brandon Ayuk looked good out there. So I'm excited. He's a playmaker. But what did you think about the Raiders, Kev? I didn't really get to watch too much of the game. Kind of was in and out of it, checking it out. I saw that they lost 30-23 against the Bills, which, I mean, it's not that bad of a, it's not that bad of a loss. So it seemed like it was a competitive game, but I didn't watch too much of it.
I mean, it's the same storyline of the whole season. Defense plays very bad. Offense turned the ball over, not interceptions, just fumbling and then just undisciplined. I mean, this defense is like, I feel like it's the worst. We give up so many yards. Josh Allen had a great day. And then the offense was actually really pretty good. I mean, Derek Carr had a couple touchdowns. Josh Jacobs got bottled up though by the Bills defense, and then I mean it's just the defense at the end of the day. Like we can't stop anyone, and then we go for field goals, and then that just doesn't get it done if you want to play a really good team like the Bills. And I mean we're 2-2 at this point. I mean I kind of expected that, but play KC next, so it's gonna get rough from here. But I mean that defense got a lot of people in free agency that are not showing up, which is the biggest thing right now.
Yeah, you don't win too many football games when you give up 30 points. I mean, that's just not a recipe in itself for winning. I mean, 23 points, it could get it done. It could get it done. Just the defense has to definitely play better. What's interesting about the Raiders, though, is they've invested so much draft capital in the defense. And it's like, when is it going to finally come through? And when is everyone going to play collectively well? You have a lot of capital in that. I mean, seriously, they spent a lot of picks. So we'll see. I mean, it's a little bit disappointing, but it's only 2-2. Like I said before, it's not the Niners, kind of the same thing. It's not the worst place to be. It could be worse than that. So you got to kind of take that how it is and move forward from it. It's going to be tough for the Niners' perspective when the Seahawks are 4-0. I'll say about that, they're not perfect, though. They're not perfect. They have weaknesses. The Seahawks have a horrible defense. The Rams are pretty complete, but as far as the Raiders go, I mean, they're 2-2. There's an extra playoff spot this season. I don't see them, beating the Chiefs out for the division, but they got to focus on just winning football games and get that wild card at least. I mean, obviously you want to try to win the division, but just being realistic, they're not going to.
I mean, we didn't have Ruggs or Brian Edwards yesterday. Damon Arnett just went on IR. I mean, injuries do play a part, but at the end of the day, they're doing their job.
Yeah,
it's just defense. Defense will not win games for you.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and then I didn't know. I don't know if they had any turnovers. Like I said, I only watched a little bit of the game. But you definitely have to, against a team like the Bills, you have to try to generate some turnovers, especially if your defense isn't helping you out any. You have to try to somehow, some way get the ball back in your hands and limit the possessions. I mean, I'll tell you what, the Bills offense, though, they're much improved this season. Now, that was kind of what was holding them back in the previous seasons. Their defense is stout. Their defense is solid. But the I don't know, Achilles heel, I'll say, of the team previously was like, okay, well, they were kind of limited offensively. Like, what did you think about, like, Josh Allen? But this season, he's inserted himself in that top-tier MVP type of candidate. I think right now it's Russell Wilson's MVP to lose. But he's definitely balling out, though. I got to give him credit where credit's due. Is there any did you watch the full Niner game? What do you think about that?
I mean, what I expected from the Niners was they were going to lose one of those games, the Eagles or the Dolphins, and they lost this one. But they had chances to win the game. Nick Mullens did not play well. O-line did not play well. But there were some bright spots. I mean, Brandon Ayuk, that's why you got him.
Yes, athlete.
He's like Debo Samuel, just an athlete, fast. You had chances that, like, with all those injuries and how bad you played, and you still had a chance to win. I mean, that's something to take away.
Yeah. No, it is, honestly. I see, a lot of people on Twitter panicking, and
oh yeah.
I get it. I mean, I get it. I understand. You lost to the Eagles. They're not a good football team. But like you said, there's things to take away from it. There's positives. Debo is back. Kittle's back. He had like 180 something yards receiving. Guy's an animal. He's a just complete beast. So you're starting to get more healthy. You're starting to get some guys back. There is positives, like we said. Barely lost 2 games. Had the opportunities to win. You just feel like, they had their chances, and they're not far off. They're definitely not far off. And it's going to be tough. The Dolphins, I think you could agree, it's a must win when you have that tough schedule coming up. I mean, that's Rams, Pats, Hawks. I mean, and Packers. You could potentially lose all 4. I don't think they will. I think they'll probably go 2-2. But that's tough. That's real tough.
I mean, something to look out for is that Brian Flores said this morning that he's not certain on the quarterback to be playing. You don't know if you're going to get Ryan Fitzpatrick or Tua. So, I mean, we'll see what happens.
I'm hoping for Fitzpatrick because, like, again, the mobile quarterback is the Achilles heel of the 49ers, and it has been for a minute. So I am not you don't want to, Tua, you don't want him to play because it's the thing about it is you don't really have too much pro film, you don't have any pro film on him actually, but it's just gonna be tough because you don't really know you can't prepare for a guy like that necessarily. It's kind of like the whole Justin Herbert factor, and he's looked really good, but it's one of those things where when you're a new quarterback to the league, the tape isn't out on you necessarily. That's what they typically say the second year the quarterback struggles, the second sophomore season. So, but yeah, I'm hoping for Fitzpatrick, especially the fact that he's not incredibly mobile. I mean, he can move a little bit, he can scramble and, get some yards, but he's not Tua. So we will see. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm still disappointed, still upset, still all those feelings. But there's some positives. So yeah, man, that's pretty much just this episode. Just kind of keeping it real short and sweet, just talking about the Niners and talking about the Raiders a little bit here. So that's pretty much the episode. And then we'll be back. We might do another video this week, maybe 2 this week, just doing these kind of smaller formats for you guys. So I hope you have a good one. Thanks for tuning in and watching, and we'll see you for the next video. Peace.